Hey everyone, I'm here with Ellen Goldfarb in her New Jersey garden today. And last year, Ellen joined us on one of our English garden tours. And as we were talking about her garden and looking at photos together, we knew we needed to visit her. So here we are today. I'm so glad we could make this
Oh, I am
trip.
too.
Yeah, this is fun. So tell me a little bit about your business.
Okay. When I was living in Arizona, and I had two kids then. Tracy was 2. She's my daughter that works with me now.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And felt like, what am I going to do now? You know, it's not enough to just be home with the kids. And I just made a list of things that I loved the most, and it was working in my garden. So I had been a music teacher, and that had nothing to do. I had never taken any art courses or anything like that. So I took some courses at a community college on bidding techniques and some art classes and some landscape design classes. And I went around to some nurseries and somebody hired me. And so I went out and started designing for them, like freelance.
Mm-hmm. So you have a crew of about, you said 8 people?
There's 8 people now.
Now, and you do design and installations.
And maintenance.
And maintenance for
Right.
gardens here in
We
New
do
Jersey.
everything except lawns.
Okay.
We can do any lawn. Well, we put down sod, but that's the only lawn thing we do.
And your garden is sort of a display garden.
Yeah, for trying things.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
I like to have used a plant myself and have experience with it before I put it in someone else's garden. So
you try everything here first.
Oh yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
So your front yard was a blank slate when
Yes.
you moved here. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah. So tell me, how long ago was that? 30-some?
Yeah, about 38, almost 40 years ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did it start? How did you start changing your front yard?
First, I took out all the shrubs, all the foundation planting,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wanted to have flowers and things that bloomed. And we had a big lawn, I know. The first mistake I made was I made a bed on that side, and
Okay.
I mowed the lawn, and I put down the grass as mulch, and I didn't realize that it had rhizomes in it. We had Bermuda grass.
Oh, gosh,
no,
okay.
not Bermuda grass. Zoysia.
Oh yeah.
Zoysia grass.
Mm-hmm.
And it wrecked the whole garden.
Oh gosh.
And the other thing was I asked, the town had this free topsoil, so I got that in, and it was full of nutgrass seeds. So,
So you fought weeds.
yes,
And,
there's still nutgrass.
oh gosh.
You never get rid of it,
Oh. That's
except by
fun.
using more invasive plants than nutgrass.
Yes.
So,
So it's packed with plants here.
it's packed because
Yeah.
I'm a real glutton. You know, this is a gluttonous garden.
So, but there's a lot of structure here too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of different plants, but you have some very carefully thought out structure here as well.
Yes.
So, of course, to start with, there are plants that are structure. You have the boxwoods and several shrubs. You said that initially you took out all the shrubs, right?
Yeah, and then I learned the value of shrubs.
For structure.
As a matter of fact, I had this one client who she was trying to screen a house, and I wanted her to use, some evergreen as a screen, and she said, "Oh, I only want blooming things," and I said, "Well, in your house you have walls, you have pictures on the walls, you have things, furniture and things like that, but if you took your walls away, you'll have nothing." So
Right. Well, that's a good way of thinking of it.
Yeah.
It's the floor and the walls and the
right,
the doorways and all the
Right.
the structural parts.
so you need that.
Yeah. So and then you have terraces.
Yeah,
You have walls. So it used to be a slope, just a
it was a gentle slope,
okay.
but enough of a slope that I could do the walls because I really wanted the walls. I was doing it on job. I wanted to have things in my own garden that I was designing. Like I would design someone's garden and I would love it, and I would come home and mine was like, So
Right.
I wanted to have the things that I was seeing
right
and
you want-
doing.
right, exactly. Do you ever bring clients here?
Yeah,
Yeah, to show them this is how this looks.
but sometimes it backfires. So
How's that?
one woman called me and she said, she said, I've seen your work. No, she didn't say I've seen your work. She saw the ad. She saw an ad on House or something like that. And so I gave her various addresses, and I gave her mine. And she drove by, and then she wrote me, and she said, I don't think I want your services because your yard is much more chaotic than what I would want.
Right.
But that's my house.
That's right. Every client is different.
Right.
And you are a
client is
client.
different.
You are a different client.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And
that's funny.
And if you go to all my jobs, I think you see that they're different.
They are.
So
definitely.
I try to work with what people want.
Right. So do you have? I know some designers have sort of signature plants or signature looks. What would you say are some of your signatures?
Well, I love boxwoods. I love shapes. I love the balls, the cones. I like that stuff.
Right.
Well, I love flowers, and I have a palette that I love to use. But I think I've learned through the years that they need to play off of you can't have a whole garden full of divas.
Right. That's a good way of putting it.
So one diva is enough, and then stars, and then the supporting actors.
Okay,
so the supporting actors are the boxwoods and things like that.
Okay, yeah.
But without them, it would just be a big flowery bouquet of mess. Right.
Yeah, right.
So, and the evergreens give you something to look at in the winter.
Yeah, that's nice.
And so when I'm designing, I design usually, I make a palette of what I want to use, flowery wise, but then I put in my evergreens first.
Okay.
And then once that is down, that framework is down, then I go and work around that framework.
Okay, design around that. So, so the boxwoods, of course. What are some of your favorite flowers?
Oh, roses. There are some flowers I've learned to live without because of the deer.
Deer is a big problem here.
Deer are a big problem. So lilies and daylilies have been I've been substituting alliums and more grasses, more ferns, bee balm, things that the deer don't eat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And learning to love things that I didn't use before.
And even on a street like this, and in your front yard, you have deer right here.
Yeah.
I think of that as something that people who live in a more wooded setting deal with, but there are parks nearby, and so they come from there.
Right.
Yeah.
They're here.
They're bold.
They're here. They're hungry, and they're here.
I think these rock walls are so interesting. You said something to me a little bit ago that really struck me about how you think of terraces.
I think that terraces are like stages for the plants, and so it divides the garden into, in my case, it's in 3 sections.
Okay.
The top, the middle, and the bottom, and then the very edge, it's like a little stage for each section.
It is. It really shows things off well.
Right.
And it allows them to kind of have some presence in each case.
And then you can also use certain plants that you couldn't use if it was just a flat garden. You can have the little creepers that are coming through the rock wall.
That's right.
And things that cascade over the wall.
It's just a way to create more interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And then in the wintertime, I mean, right now you don't see as much of the walls because the plants are covering or they're, interacting with it. But in the wintertime, I imagine you see a lot more of it. So it just makes it, again, more interesting.
Yeah, then you have the evergreens and the walls.
Yeah.
So it gives you something else to look at.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. So you were telling me about some of your favorite plants. The summer beauty, for example, or the alliums. And I've noticed some Hakanakloa.
Yeah, I love Hakanakloa.
In your gardens.
I love the color chartreuse. So I just feel like chartreuse sets off every other color.
It really does. It just creates a great contrast, and especially in shady
especially
gardens.
Shady gardens.
Yeah, that's good. And you have this big hydrangea arborescens over here.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's one of my oldest, I think that's one of the oldest garden plants in the garden.
Okay.
And I bought it back in the day. Do you remember when they used to sell deciduous plants in like little wrappers.
Oh,
Do you remember
right.
that?
Yeah, and with a little box.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I got that. And
Oh my gosh. I remember hybrid teas always being
That's
sold
right.
that way.
Yeah.
Hybrid tea roses. But okay, so this is the species.
that's the species, arborescens. And before it was Annabelle, before
Okay.
they made it better, before they improved it, new and improved.
Right, yeah.
And so the heads are always standing up straight
Okay.
and
And are they a little bit smaller?
a little bit smaller.
Uh-huh.
And they start as green, then they go to white, then they go back to green,
Nice.
and then they stay on the plant all winter.
Nice.
So it's a feature for the winter, which is really nice.
It is nice. That's good. Are there some, and then you have this large Japanese maple right here.
Yeah,
too.
I love Japanese maples. So, along with, maybe Japanese maples are my favorite plant.
Are they?
If I only could have one plant,
It would be a
a
Japanese,
Japanese maple. There would be several Japanese
That's
maples.
oh, okay, not just one.
Right. Because they're also different.
They are also different. There's so many different colors. This is Seryu.
Siriu, yeah.
Siriu.
And it's so lacy and soft.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little girl who lives in the neighborhood, and when she walks around the block here, her mother said she always wants to sit under this tree and have a picnic.
It is a good spot for that. And then the fall color, there's great fall color on,
Yeah.
on this one too, right?
Yeah.
It turns orange. It's really pretty.
One thing I forgot to mention was the little crimson pygmy barberries.
Over here, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of it to echo the boxwoods that are on this side, and it's a less expensive way to go.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's just a little bit of variety too.
Yeah.
And they're not there's no problems with being invasive here.
Not that I know of.
Right.
I mean,
So-
no.
So those are safe here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they take pruning
Yeah.
and shearing and if
Yeah.
you want to. Yeah, that's a good plant. So speaking of structure, I just love the clean lines that this big urn in the front yard creates. It's just a great contrast with all the shapes and organic textures.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'm always looking for contrast,
Okay. Mhm.
and so color contrast, texture, and that's the ultimate smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth and hard.
Yeah.
And everything else is so soft.
Yeah, that's
So-
true.
so-
It just stands out beautifully. Do you leave it there all year
It stays all year. It
Okay.
gets wrapped up for to
to protect
emptied out.
to
Yeah.
protect it from frost
Yeah.
cracking?
So it
Yeah.
looks like this crazy monolith in the winter.
That's funny. You have a lot of roses in
Yeah.
your garden, and can we just walk around and
Oh,
take
sure.
a look at a few of them
Yeah,
next?
sure.
Okay, great. So this is a really old bonica.
Yes, very old. You can tell she's elderly by
Look at
her
those.
her trunk, her gnarled
Ah.
trunk.
It's beautiful though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So how do you prune it every year?
I don't do too much to it.
No. Okay.
Because I'm nervous about it.
You-
I just round it off, and
Mm-hmm.
occasionally she'll send up. There's a new shoot back there, a new cane back there.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
But this was a really old shrub rose. When it seemed like maybe it was one of the first shrub roses.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it's about 35 years old or
In
40
this
years
spot.
old. Yeah.
In this spot. So well, it's just beautiful.
And then I started using some David Austin roses.
Okay.
We were in England, my husband and I, and we went to David Austin, the gardens, and I had a half an hour before closing time. So it was like racing around through everything. But I have a lot of David Austin roses,
Okay.
and they're
Yeah.
really nice. And a couple of knockouts, and
Okay.
and then different more modern shrub roses than the Bonica.
Right.
also.
Okay. Yeah. So interesting. Well, let's go take a
Okay,
look at
sure.
a few of those. You have these vigorous drift roses here.
Yes.
So this is
This is Sweet Drift,
okay.
and I just love the look of it. It's
Oh,
such
it's-
a pretty little rose.
It is. It's just so
Yeah.
floriferous.
Yeah, it's very vigorous, so you have to treat it with a tough love.
So what do you do?
Cut
How do
it
you?
back hard.
Okay, in the
Yeah.
spring.
Uh-huh.
So how far do you cut it back?
Really low, like
About to there.
yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And then back here you have the red drift. Is that
Yes.
right? In a standard form.
Right.
And do you have to do anything special to it to get
No.
it through the winter?
No, just I prune it hard in the spring.
Uh-huh.
I don't prune in the fall,
Okay.
and it's fine. They're
It's a-
very hardy.
It's a great accent plant right in the front.
Yeah, I really like that.
I do too.
It adds to the kind of the classic nature
It
of
does.
the garden.
It
I
does.
guess like things. I like organized chaos. You know, I like the garden to look like it's doing its own thing,
Yeah.
but really I'm the master, you know, behind pulling the strings.
So when things recede, you sort of selectively
Yeah.
pull them out, and
But mostly I leave them.
they're all things that you loved when you
Yes.
you planted them for a reason.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. I'm so glad you could join us for a few minutes too, Tracy. This is
Yeah.
great to see you.
You too, you too. I'm glad I'm here.
So we pulled Tracy away from work so she could show off some of her containers. She's great at doing the containers, but her real specialty right now, well, is doing the succulents. She just really has a knack for them.
This is and this is one of your examples.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
love this.
Thank
so
you.
talk me through your process a little bit in terms of design.
Sure. So I always start either in the middle, or if the pot is against a wall, I start in the back, usually with the tallest thing, and then I work forward.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I always try to have something that cascades down, usually, you know, in the front or on the side here. And I buy succulents depending on color and also the size of the pots. So I don't want all 5-inch because it's really hard to work with it and get them in the nooks and crannies. And the other, I don't buy all little ones because then it looks too minuscule.
Yeah.
So to get the variety and texture, I look for color, contrast.
I love how you've got some blues
Yeah.
here, and then you've got some of these burgundies that are
Right,
sort of
right,
echoing
and
each
kind
other.
of echo each other.
Yeah, that's really
this one
nice.
has little tubes, and this
Yeah.
one's spiky.
And then you've got some chartreuse kind
right,
of pops in
right,
there. That's,
just to
that's so
kind
nice.
of add a little variety.
Yeah, that's great.
Variety, yeah.
And so you have a mix of sort of crown forming plants with the ones that trail,
right,
and
right.
then some different sort of spiky. I mean, it's just a great mix of
Thank you.
textures and colors. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's a lot of fun. I
It
love
is.
doing them. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
really
it's a lot
pretty.
of fun. The other thing I also do is add a little sand.
Okay.
So I don't just do straight potting soil.
Okay.
I do like a mix, and mostly up by the top where the plants are.
Is
Because
there a particular ratio that you use? Or
no, I kind of wing it.
yeah, eyeball it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
kind of eyeball it. I mean, I want to see the sand,
Yeah.
you know, in the top. But it's a great container for people that really don't want to water, but have something colorful and interesting. So.
I've noticed you've used these in front entrances quite a bit
Yes,
lately.
yes,
I love
it's
it.
great.
That's really
it's
pretty.
great. And people
good.
seem to like it. I mean, they're always saying, I want flowers because of color.
Right.
But this has color too, and
Yeah.
it's interesting texture, and again, it's very no maintenance.
That's right. Great easy care
Right.
alternative.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Well, it has been so fun to get together with both of you again
Yes, you
today.
too.
And I'm just so appreciative that you were able to show us your garden.
Of course.
Oh.
Thank you for coming. We
Oh,
appreciate it.
We're glad to be here.